And welcome to be our guest. You know, I've been a grandfather. I've got 9 wonderful grandchildren. I really love them. And one of the things that really disgusts me and disgusts a lot of people our age is we find out about children that have been abused, both mentally and sexually, physically. It's rampant in the United States. It really saw an uptick during COVID. And today we have with us Jenna Zuelzke, and you are the director of Butterfly Bridge Child Advocacy Center.
That's correct.
It's a long word, but it's doing monumental things. Give our audience just a background on what you guys do.
Okay. Well, we're a nonprofit organization, and we're a 501c3, and we provide free services to child and adolescent victims of abuse. And all those different types of abuse that you just mentioned, we are involved in those cases. So we assist Child Protective Services and law enforcement agencies when they actually get a report of abuse. The child is able to come to our neutral, child-friendly location and talk to a trained forensic interviewer about the things that may have happened to them, really bad things like what you mentioned. And so that keeps them from having to talk to multiple individuals that are investigating a case over and over again in environments that really aren't child friendly. At the time we're actually conducting the forensic interview with a kid, the law enforcement and DHR individuals who are investigating that case, they're able to watch in another room in real time and get all the information that the child is giving to the trained interviewer. So that's how a child first comes to Butterfly Bridge.
And when you mention those individuals, it can be as many as 6 different types of people that would be normally interviewing or would be in the process, because obviously, ultimately, we want to try to do is establish the fact that abuse happened, first and foremost. Then you've got to get to the perpetrator. So you need as much information as you can, don't you?
Sure, and we have to keep in mind when we're doing these forensic interviews, we're doing them for different agencies. DHR is really looking at the safety of the child in their home. Law enforcement wants to know information so that if there are charges that need to be made, that they can make those charges and go after the person that potentially harmed that child. And so those interviews encompass all of that information. But like you said, the kid's just talking to one person and not multiple individuals.
And what we've seen of late is that people are, for lack of a better word, coming out of the woodwork, and they're saying, I'm now 22 years old, but when I was 8 or 9, so-and-so abused me. And is there a statute of limitations on this? And again, the reason I say this is that if one of our viewers happens to know somebody that's in this situation, is there still help available, or how does that normally work?
Every state is different, but in the state of Alabama, there's no statute of limitations on making a report of any sort of sex crime. So they can report at any time. And we do see that happen quite a bit where, actually most of the kids I interview, if it has to do with sexual abuse, they don't immediately tell. There's all sorts of reasons. The perpetrator may have threatened them. The perpetrator's usually someone they know, love, and trust. And so you think about how hard it is for a kid to tell on maybe their favorite uncle that's doing something really bad. And so for many, many years, a lot of times kids will hold it in, and even sometimes into adulthood. So it is important, though, to report so that you can get help if you're still dealing with, the repercussions of, how the things that you go through after you've been sexually abused, as well as, maybe that perpetrator could potentially harm another kid. And so just in that, in the interest of just public safety as well. So.
And you put that child in a usually user-friendly situation. Because a lot of times you think about a person that if I did something wrong, they're going to put me at a table inside of a room, and there's going to be, I'm on one chair, they're on another chair, and they're going to be interrogating me. But you take that child rather than having to go, and for a lot of kids, a police officer is somebody that kind of scares them because of the fact that it's an authority figure.
Right.
But a person like you doing the interview, it's kind of like I'm talking to mom or my big sister. And so it's done in a very bright light room where there's I know there's stuffed animals around, a couple
Well,
of different
yeah.
things, whatever it is.
Yeah,
Then
child-sized furniture, because we
Right.
do talk to kids as young as 3 all the way up to teenagers. So we have an area that's very much for like a younger child. We have, Play-Doh in there, crayons, markers, things to make them comfortable while they're talking, as well as another location that's more comfortable for a teenager. And so yes, it's very much, a child-friendly and an adolescent-friendly room that we're in. Just very calming, paint colors on the walls
Right.
and those sorts of things.
good.
So,
As we close, let our viewers know, number one, can they volunteer to work with your organization as a volunteer if you need them? And number two, how they can contribute.
okay, so we do take volunteers. We do a lot of outreach and events in the community where we use probably most of our volunteers. We have a fundraiser in Chilton County and a clay shoot actually in our Elmore County area, which is a lot of fun. We can take volunteers. We take some on-site volunteers, but because of the highly confidential nature of what we
Right.
do, we don't have a lot of volunteers coming out and in and out of the office. But yes, we can use volunteers in many different ways. And so also, if you want to contribute, there's all sorts of ways.
Good. We'll put those up on the screen.
Yeah, so that can be anything from giving us items that we might need on a daily basis that we utilize, like snacks and juice
Right.
boxes, and just things like that we might give to the kids when they come to the center. And of course, financial donations.
Money's
as
always
well.
accepted.
Yeah, we are a 501c3,
Right.
so it's tax
Make it
deductible.
tax-deductible
Yeah.
donation. Thank
Yes.
you so much for what
Thank
you
you.
do. And remember, this is one of the many services in Alabama that are there to take care of the children, the most precious commodity we have in our lives. We'll be right back right after this.